What's going on, traders? Welcome to this week's Forex Forecast. If you're new to my channel, hit that subscribe button and don't forget to check out the Patreon or the YouTube membership for my daily chart analysis. I hope to see you there. All right, starting things off with the US dollar index. The past week, the banks added 3,600 longs and they also added 2,200 short positions. And looking at the daily chart here, we have clearly, lost momentum by this zone being removed. And in the last few forecasts, I've been talking about how we could see the US dollar turn around and actually drop down to this weekly area of demand where that would be a great buying opportunity. So the evidence is in that we could be pushing much lower on the US dollar here. And I mean, if you just look at the price, it's been going up almost straight up, so we are due for that pullback. And now that we had the 4-hour momentum change to the downside and we have that 4-hour downtrend, we also, like I just said, we have lost momentum on the daily chart as well. So you could be shorting the US dollar on the lower time frames like the 15-minute and the 5-minute chart. But just keep in mind you will be trading against this overall weekly trend. But like I just explained, that could be that pullback down to that weekly area of demand. And as you can see here, we are actually reacting off of this 1-hour area of supply right now. So with that being said, shorts are definitely in play right now. But maybe since the weekly trend is still up, I would consider maybe risking half or at least less than your normal risk. All right, looking at EURUSD, the past week the banks added 2,500 longs and they got rid of 1,270 short positions. I've been talking about how the Euro chart, daily chart has been trending down, and now it looks like we could be, with the removal of this supply zone, it looks like we could be going up to this daily supply zone. So that would be my target if you are thinking about getting in long. So now let's try to find a few setups on the Euro. And actually in last week's forecast, I actually talked about how there was this 4-hour supply zone right here. I said you could be looking for 15-minute confirmation in this zone. I just want to show you guys the power of supply and demand. So if you find this 15-minute zone that I was referring to right here, I talked about this last week, as you can see now on the screen. I said I would definitely wait for this demand zone right here to be removed first before hopping in short. If you look, we had a reaction here, here, and here. So we actually never got that confirmation. So that's why it's extremely important to understand top-down analysis and how to look for confirmation. And remember, if you guys do want all of these supplier demand zones, check out the YouTube or Patreon membership. It's only $5 CAD per month. You can get all of my zones tracked on a daily basis for only $5 CAD. So it's a really good deal. There's a lot of members that are using it every day and are making decent profits from my zone. So definitely check that out. Links are in the description, and I hope to see you guys join the team. So now we have a 4-hour uptrend here on the Euro chart. You would still be trading against that weekly area weekly downtrend, but I don't see anything wrong with just looking for set and forget trades to the upside on a 15-minute or a 5-minute chart. Yes, we could see this momentum shift down, and the odds are actually higher that price could continue to go down and that this is just a small blip in time to the upside. But like I said on the dollar, we could be pulling back to weekly demand, just like we could be pulling back to weekly supply on the euro. So not really seeing any setups right now, but I think looking for longs on 15-minute and 5-minute charts are completely fine. And there is a profit margin to the upside. All right, on to gold. The past week, the banks got rid of 5,900 long positions and they added 12,000 short positions. And we're actually sitting in daily supply right now in a daily downtrend. So we could see gold fall from here. But keep in mind, if you look at a weekly chart, I was talking about this weekly area of demand in the past couple Forex forecasts where I predicted we could come down to here. And we are reacting off of weekly demand. So it's very possible we could see gold push much higher. And the evidence we would need to see for gold to start, really starting to get in long would be the removal of this daily area of supply. So for now, you could just be looking for 1-hour confirmation coming off of here. But keep in mind, like I said, that weekly demand is in control down below. Now, there were a few 1-hour zones that I had on the chart for YouTube and Patreon members where they worked very well. As you can see here, we had a 1-hour zone that worked perfectly, and another one that just happened to wick into it today. So we definitely could see gold go much higher here. So it's kind of a weird situation where we have weekly demand in control and daily supply in control. So any trade should be taken with less risk And any long should be taken only on a 5-minute chart, maybe a 15-minute chart as well. And like I said, if that daily supply wants to work out, your confirmation is going to look something like this, hopefully leaving us with a supply zone right here on the 1-hour chart, and that would be your confirmation. So hopefully that takes place, and we'll be looking at a nice little short potential trading setup. So but also, if you do want to get in long, I would wait for this 4-hour area of supply to be removed. And what this would be 4-hour confirmation coming off of weekly demand. So we've already had this trend line removed with the candle close above the trend line, leaving us with this 4-hour demand. So this 4-hour demand would actually be decent for a 15-minute confirmation trade to come off of there. Or if we get this 4-hour supply removed, leaving us with 4-hour demand, that would be a decent 4-hour demand zone to look for 15-minute confirmation. And so a lot of different ideas here on gold. It's kind of a confusing one, but that's okay. That's trading, and it's definitely not an easy thing to do. You just have to understand top-down analysis and top-down analysis and multiple sequence analysis. All right, on to USDJPY, and in last week's forecast, I talked about this 1-hour area of supply, and I said if you want to get in long, I would wait for this supply to be removed first. And if you look at the power of the zones that I draw out for the members here. 1, 2, 3, almost 4 reactions off of the supply zone, and we never got that confirmation. So with these forecasts, I hope you guys appreciate, I'm not always showing you guys trading setups, but I'm also showing you things to wait for and showing you, take caution. Don't just hop in long down here. And that is the power of supply and demand. So hopefully you guys are starting to understand a little bit better. And let me know in the comments down below if you're waiting for that to take place. So I just wanted to show you guys that quick first to just show the importance of waiting for confirmation like that and the power of those zones. So looking at the daily chart here, but first let's look at the COT report. The past week, the banks added 7,200 longs, and they also added 917 short positions. There's still 40 minutes left in this daily candle, but we are still inside this daily area of demand. It is tested now, so looking for longs is a little lower odds. And just like if you should go back if you didn't watch the DXY forecast that I just did, we could see the US dollar turn around, so it's very possible we see the USD yen fall as well, since US dollar is the leading in this pair. So it's kind of a weird situation. If you want to get in long, all I would do is wait for this 4-hour supply and downward trend line to be removed, leaving us with 4-hour demand here where you could look to get involved to the long side. Until that takes place, I definitely would not be shorting right now. I would only short once this daily supply is actually removed. So that might happen next week. So it's kind of a weird situation right now. I would just simply be looking to get in long after all that stuff I just said should be removed. And until then, I don't really recommend getting in short, but once that daily demand is removed, then I think looking for shorts on lower time frames is definitely okay to do. GBPUSD, and in last week's forecast, I talked about how there was a 1-hour supply zone right here. And this is a zone a lot of traders would take, but I talked about how there's that downward trend line here, and we could see a spike up. And if you look at here, look at this pure manipulation spike right there. Basically, in my opinion, it stopped out trend line traders and ended up pushing down, which left us with a very highly profitable 1-hour zone down below. So that is why I say, avoid taking shorts like that. So just wanted to point that out for you guys, and just trying to show you guys that this analysis is pretty accurate, and there's a lot of things that you can catch in here that's very important for your trading week. So now looking at the USDJPY COT report, the past week. GBPUSD COT report. The past week, the banks got rid of 2,800 longs, and they also got rid of 3,200 short positions. This is a very interesting and very weird chart. If we do a whole top-down analysis here, we have a very clear weekly downtrend. We have a very clear daily downtrend, and we're actually sitting in daily supply right now. So you could be looking for short positions just to keep it very simple. But I do have a suspicion that we could actually see this break through. And the evidence we will need to hop in short would be the removal of this upward trend line on this 4-hour chart or even the 1-hour chart. So if something like this gets broken, leaving us with 4-hour supply right here, that would be your trade right there. Either on this 4-hour chart, the 4-hour confirmation is safer than the 1-hour chart. So if you want to look for 1-hour confirmation, it's essentially the same thing like this, leaving us with supply here, and that is your setup. So until that takes place, that's all I would be waiting for. Yes, technically, on a technical level, you could be trading this 1 hour and 4 hour uptrend on a 15-minute chart or a 5-minute chart. But I just don't really recommend it based on, we have a weekly downtrend and we're in daily supply. If you do want to get in long, I would at least wait for this daily supply to be removed first. And then it would be much safer to be day trading the 15-minute chart and the 5-minute chart to the downside. USDCAD forecast. The past week, the banks added 6,400 longs and they also got rid of 2,600 short positions. We are currently sitting in daily demand in a weekly uptrend. So looking for longs right now is completely fine in my opinion, but 1 hour confirmation is definitely going to be needed. And remember, if you don't know what confirmation is, check out my trading tips playlist. Link is in the description. It's free to watch. Definitely check that out. So like I said, we would need 1 hour confirmation, and we actually got it with the removal of this downward trend line. So we're left with this 1 hour area of demand, but the problem is this 1 hour supply was not removed. So it's a little bit of a lower odds situation. So this is technically confirmation. You could technically, put a buy order here with a stop loss below, but I would have preferred to see this 1 hour supply zone removed as well. So I think looking for extra 5-minute confirmation for day trades in here is actually much better. And we could actually see the USDCAD rip up to the upside from this 1 hour area of demand. So that's pretty much all I have to say here on USDCAD. We're sitting in daily demand in a weekly uptrend, and we got that 1 hour confirmation. The only problem with it is it's a little weird zone. So I think if your stop loss is going to be here, if your stop loss is going to be here usually, then I think it's actually best to put a wider stop loss, maybe down here, just for a little more, protection based on the look of that zone. And of course, if we get this 1 hour, say if we don't pull back down to here, but we get this 1 hour supply taken out, then I think whatever 1 hour zone removes that would be a decent confirmation as well. So there's a few little possibilities here. And of course, if we do get a new 1 hour zone here, that will be available for the YouTube and Patreon members. So like I said, check that out because it's definitely useful, especially since I'm not doing, midweek forecast like that. It always is useful. So the USDCAD looking pretty decent here. It's all going to depend on the DXY as well, but definitely looking decent for longs coming off of this daily area of demand. AUDUSD Aussie dollar forecast. The past week, the banks added 4,600 longs and they added 7,500 short positions. Looking at the daily chart here, we have that daily downtrend sitting in daily supply. In last week's forecast, I talked about how we could be looking for a confirmation trade on the 1 hour chart to the downside like this. So let's actually hop down to a 1 hour chart right now. And if you can see here, we have a very significant 1 hour zone that's reacted not once, but twice. So now this 1 hour zone is becoming very, very significant. Clearly, this 1 hour zone is extremely important. So the removal of that 1 hour zone and downward and upward trend line would be very, very significant. So if this happens, leaving us with a 1 hour supply zone here, that would be your confirmation trade right there like that. That is a great looking, it's looking great for that potential confirmation trade. So that's pretty much, all I have to say here on Aussie US dollar. And that would basically be a 1 hour confirmation coming off of daily supply and a daily downtrend and weekly downtrend. So keep an eye on that 1 hour zone, and we'll have to see how that does next week. USDCHF forecast. The past week, the institutions added 1,342 longs and they also added 513 short positions. Now, very important, we actually reacted off of this weekly area of supply that I've had drawn out for members for quite a long time. Wasn't really expecting a huge move down from this zone, but clearly we have seen a shift in momentum. We have essentially a 4 hour downtrend, and we have lost significant momentum on the daily chart. So it's one of those weird situations where if you look at the weekly chart, I kind of doubt we'll pull back all the way down to here. So it's one of those times where I think we could pull back slightly and then end up moving up. That's what I could see happening here on the Aussie dollar. So in the meantime, I think looking for shorts is definitely a little risky, but definitely fine. So there's a 4 hour area of supply right here. You could definitely look to trade a 15-minute confirmation coming off of there. And let's say that doesn't happen and we come up to this 4 hour zone, you could do the same up there. I think both are completely fine. And if we get a high peak up like this and a push down with the ability to draw that downward trend line, then I think looking for 15-minute and 5-minute set and forget trades to the downside is completely fine as well. But we are going to have to wait for that clear downward trend line to happen on the 4-hour chart first. So there's a few little setups here. We're going to have to see how this does midweek, and then we will go from there. But it's definitely looking pretty weak right now. But just remember, the weekly trend is up. All right, last but not least, looking at crude oil here. And in last week's forecast, I talked about this 4-hour area of demand. If you look, what a reaction off of here. So if anybody got involved from last week's forecast, congratulations to you. Make sure you let me know in the comments down below. So looking at the oil caught report for this week, the institutions added 1,000 longs, and they also got rid of 13,814 short positions. We are still between supply and demand. It's just not really moving. Anytime we get a move up, it just eventually shoots back down. But demand is in control, so I think looking for longs is still a decent idea. There was a 1-hour area of demand right here, but that ship has sailed. That was a great little trading setup there. So right now I'm just not seeing any great trading setups. There is a 4-hour demand zone here, which I'm not in love with. If you're really looking to get in long, I guess you could just look for 15-minute confirmation coming off of this 4-hour area of demand. But other than that, I don't even know if I'd be trading oil this week. There's just nothing of quality at all. So what I would wait for, I guess, is to get in long would be for this high to be removed, leaving this trend line, and then you could look for set and forget trades to the long side on oil. Other than that, like I said, I just don't see too much. There already was a nice trade last week, and not every pair or every market is going to offer a trading setup. But if you do get in long, there is a lot of profit margin up to this daily area of supply. So keep that in mind. There is profit margin, so getting in long is definitely a decent idea with oil. Hopefully you guys found this weekly Forex forecast helpful. If you did, make sure to let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like and check out the Patreon or YouTube membership if you need help finding your supply and demand zones. It's only $5 CAD per month. Hope to see you guys there and hope to see you in the next video.